Yeah.
He would have gone by a day without, and he never did. And I mean, he always wanted me to lose weight. He encouraged me, but he never made me feel bad about it. So he looked at me and he said, Lorraine, he said, I have always loved your heart. That was a
Oh,
shell, but I always saw your heart. And he didn't even see the body, he saw my heart.
hmm.
And that's what I fell in love with, and nothing had changed. So,
Oh,
yeah.
you're bringing tears to my. I want to. Never mind you. I want to interview Tim.
He just left. Next week.
That's a beautiful, beautiful story. And you know what? I hope people hear when we share our stories like this, it's not just about us, right? So for the people listening, there are so many people who love you for your heart, for what's inside, and not for this shell, whether we were wrinkly or we're big or we're whatever is our perceived imperfections. We are perfectly imperfect, and our job is to go out there and try to make the world a better place in whatever shell we got going at the time.
Absolutely, because guess what, Stephanie? As we get older, our shell changes. Even if we're not overweight, suddenly we may lose hair, like I've lost hair, or we get wrinkles. Or we cannot, if we put our value in our body, in our appearance, that is going to disappear. I hate to break it to
Yeah.
anybody. But
Well, do you I think about, when I thought of whatever, like when I got married, oh my goodness, I was whatever weight I was or however I looked, I didn't like the way. Now it's like I look at those pictures, I'm like, oh my God. So however we look now, in 10 years, we're going to go back and be like, oh my God, look, we look so young and great. So just look in the mirror and enjoy. Just say thank you. It's not perfect, but if the body is working and your mind's working, like, amen, go use it for the greater good.
absolutely, yes.
Well, well, I'm happy to hear that you have such a delightful marriage. I'm sure it's not perfect, just like, and it's not perfect. We go through the times that are not great. What do you do when things, whether it's in your relationship or in your life in general, or work life, personal life, when things are not going well, when things are, you feel down, you feel you're not your normal joyous self. What do you do? How do you get out of it?
What I try to do, because I don't feel down very often, I'm very pretty well positive with high energy most of the time. But once in a while in this COVID, I just felt like, and with all the politics and stuff, I felt like there was a little bit of a gray cloud. And I allowed myself to go there just for a little bit, because sometimes I just want to turn it off and just say, hey, you're not feeling
Mm-hmm.
that. I just almost want to pretend that that doesn't exist. But I think it's important when you feel down is to recognize that and then allow yourself a little bit of space. I always allow myself a little bit of space to feel that way. Like when I was feeling that, there was 1 or 2 days, I think it was in December or something, and the kids weren't coming home and all that. Um, I told Tim I was crabby. I said, I'm crabby.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm sorry. I'm just crabby. I'm just down. I don't know. And I just allowed myself to be there, but not forever,
Not stay
because,
there.
yeah, not to stay there, but to recognize it, work with it, allow yourself to feel it, feel all the feelings. They're there,
Mm-hmm.
whether we admit it or not, they're there. And the sooner we admit them, the more we can work with them. And I do, meditation helps me a lot. The other thing I've been doing lately is when I feel some kind of reaction or something, I count backwards from 10. And
Mm.
I just go, when I feel like I'm going to react to something, I just go 10, 9. And the reason I count backwards is because it tweaks my brain a little bit. So I have to be conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do 3 big breaths, and that really, really helps. We need oxygen, because when we're stressed out, sad, we're not breathing deeply. And so those kind of things help. And yeah, so I do have those days, but they're very rare for me, which that's part of my disposition. So
I think it's great advice for anybody, though, just to have some tools in your back pocket that when you start feeling that certain way, that you have these tools that will help bring you out of that.
Right.
And
Right.
not stay there forever.
Right. And it's especially when not so much the sadness emotion, but when you feel, say your husband says something and it just, ticks you off a little bit. Sometimes when you're emotional, like you and I, Stephanie, are more emotional people. Some people are very, well, you're logical too, but some people rely more on that side. I tend to be quite emotional. So if something ticks me off, I'm right there. And so sometimes I try to remember, instead of reacting, to respond. So when you respond, you take your voice down and you calm down. And that's when I start doing the 10, 9, 8. And usually it's 10, 9, 8, 7, to try and get myself from not reacting and instead responding. Now, Tim is better at that because that's just how he's wired. He's not as emotional as me, so he's better at just responding in more of a quiet voice. And so I'm learning how to respond. And that is a great tool. And if you tweak your brain and you have to count backwards, somehow you're conscious much more.
And the great thing about counting backwards is you get to 0, right? So then something has to happen then. Whereas if you're counting up, you could just keep counting forever. But it's like, no, like the signal, the cue to your brain is that when I get to 0, I'm more level-headed. I'm more calm. I'm more whichever. So it's a smart way to go.
Yes, I hadn't thought of that. That's a great point. Perfect. Perfect for all of you out there.
So Lorraine, what is the biggest area that you're curious about now at this point in your life? What's just got your curiosity piqued now at this point?
What has got my, that's a good question. What I love to do, Stephanie, is I love to travel, and we haven't been able to do that. And so the two things in my life that I want to do more of and that I'm curious to do more of is travel. We've done a lot of traveling before because I love to meet people. I love new areas. I'm curious all the time. I'm curious about languages, food, everything. So you can immerse me anywhere in the world and I would love to learn. The other thing is, as you get older, you want to leave a legacy, a significance to the world. So I am curious about seeing what becomes in the next few years of somewhere, because I believe that I'm going to be blessed. Tim and I are going to be blessed with money to be able to give back. So I'm curious about what that's going to be, because I love children, whether it's going to be helping out somewhere, orphanages, and I adore animals. So I want to be able to give back. So I'm curious about that part of my life that will yet be discovered.
And it's not too late, Lorraine.
It's
never too late.
It's never too late. Thank you, Stephanie. This has been just a blast.
Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't know enough to ask you?
That's a good question too. You are so good at digging in there. I think we covered things that I believe that are pertinent to the audience, because I believe marriage is important, and even if you're not married, that relates to relationships. You've done really well. I've loved every minute of it. I might invite you back when I get brave enough.
Never too late.
Okay, well, thank you for
It's been a
coming in
pleasure.
today. I appreciate that. And for all of you out there, I want to remind you, if you want to sign up for my emails, go to my website at lorrainehoving.com, and then you can also sign up for the emails there, but you will receive a free chapter of a book that I collaborated with a few other authors, and you will get a book about my story. And then you can be on my email list. And I am working on a course, and I'm so excited. It will come out in March. And so I want you to be up to date on that. And I am thankful you are here. So I hope that you've listened and you've gained some gems from Stephanie and the questions she's asked. Remember, I promise you, it is never too late until it is, meaning that today is the day you need to start to take care of yourself. Never too late for self-care, to lose weight, to follow your dreams. You are worth it, and Stephanie and I know that you are worth it. Thank you for being here today, and thank you, Stephanie.
My pleasure. You did great.
Okay, bye-bye.